Yo, what is up, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another video. Today's video is going to kind of be one of those ranty ones where I don't specifically have talking points or a way I want the video to progress. I'm just going to kind of talk basketball, so we'll see how this goes. But in particular, I kind of want to talk about all NBA teams and some of my problems with all NBA teams. This was inspired by a lot of people on my timeline talking about who should make all NBA first team, second team, and stuff like that today. For some reason, this has been coming up, and also some stuff that I've seen with Bradley Beal's situation, some stuff in the past that I've seen with Jason Tatum as well. There's just a lot of stuff that bothers me with all NBA selections, and I'm not sure, honestly, how much it bothers anyone else, so we'll see how this goes. I'm going to kind of just rant, but make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and let me know what your thoughts are on all of this when you get to the end of the video. So, you might be thinking, like, what is your problem with all NBA teams? And the first thing that I want to talk about is the kind of organization of them. So, of course, all NBA teams are organized as 2 guards, 2 forwards, and a center, which is the typical, the normal organization of a basketball team at times. However, in the modern NBA, it is not like that anymore. There's a lot of times where teams will run someone out there at center that is actually way smaller than that. You'll have like Ben Simmons, who's a point guard at like 6'10", 6'11". It's just very different now. You've got guys like Nikola Jokic, who's a center, but he handles the ball, so he's also kind of a point guard. There's a lot of like interpositionality in the NBA right now, especially more than ever. And so that's kind of an outdated format, especially one of the big reasons why I was kind of inspired to make this video is last year. Nikola Jokic, of course, won the MVP award. He was the best player in the league last season. I don't think that's that much of a controversial take to say. But right behind him was Joel Embiid. Embiid was incredible, and there's possibility if he didn't miss games like he did, he could have won the MVP award. And so they were right there, like they were neck and neck for most of the season. And so, of course, you would assume that in this like NBA landscape where the goal of all NBA teams is to honor the best players in the NBA. You have the All-Star game, and then all NBA is like, these are the 15 best players, But Joel Embiid, because he's a center like Nikola Jokic is, ends up on All-NBA second team, which is insane to me. All-NBA teams, in my opinion, should be to honor the best 15 players from the NBA over the course of that season. And you might be asking, like, okay, well, how would you change it? Honestly, I'd get rid of positions. I would just have it be, here are the 5 best players on the first team, next 5, done. That's all you've got to do. Or you could even switch it to 2 guards and 3 front court members, but even that doesn't work very well because there's so many differences between which guys play forward, which guys play guard, like how many minutes do you have to play at each position and stuff like that. What really is a guard or a forward in the modern NBA with all this switchability, this interpositionality? It's really kind of hard to tell. And so you've got these weird situations where you've got the 2 best players in the league last season who were Embiid and Jokic. One of them is on All-NBA second team because he happens to play the same position, which only gets 1 spot of representation on that All-NBA team because of an outdated way of looking at basketball. It doesn't make sense to me. And you might think, well, Cone, this doesn't matter, right? Like, sure, Joel Embiid ends up on All-NBA second team, but he's still an All-NBA player. It doesn't really matter. And you're right. Obviously, I'm sure Joel Embiid wanted to be on All-NBA first team. I really wanted to see Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid both get that honor at front court positions because I think they both deserved it. And I like to see guys get the recognition they deserve. It's one of the best parts about being a basketball fan is watching these 2 guys who are the best at their position and 2 of the best in the world, period, go against each other all year for that MVP award. One of them comes out on top, but that second guy still gets the recognition he deserves, right? But instead, you've got that situation where Embiid doesn't get it. But, it doesn't really matter that much in the grand scheme of things until you look at the financial aspect of things. And you might think, well, no one's going to give Embiid less of a contract because he made All-NBA second team as opposed to first team. That is true. But right now, in the current CBA, the way the NBA currently operates financially, you can get a much bigger contract if you make All-NBA versus if you don't. Which I don't know if everyone knows that. I think a lot of y'all probably do, especially if you're on this channel. I know I have a lot of people on here who are diehard basketball fans, and so I'm sure a lot of you know that, but some of y'all might not know. And a great example of this is with Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum did not make All-NBA, and because of that, he missed out on $30 million in his rookie max extension. If he had made All-NBA, he could have gotten $30 million extra. And sure, he's still making like $175 million or so, but $30 million's a lot of money. He worked really hard and played his butt off, and he's a guy who was potentially deserving of an All-NBA selection, but because he didn't get it, he loses out on that money. And instead, there was the big controversial thing was some people said that Bradley Beal shouldn't have gotten it over him. And that's another situation where you can debate that all you want. I'm not going to argue with you what you want to say on that whole debate. But if there's if the positionality isn't a thing, Tatum maybe makes it over one of, not necessarily Bradley Beal, but makes it over someone else, and he gets that money. And sure, that takes away from someone else, which really kind of leads us to the root cause of this. Why are players getting more or less money based on all NBA selections? Something that is a completely arbitrary, media-based voting thing. It's not like players are going in there and deciding, okay, this guy, in my opinion, is the best player. This guy should be on NBA first team, second team, third team. That's not how it works. You've got this big group of media voters who, I'm not saying all of them are bad, because a lot of them do watch a lot of hoops. And in my opinion, there are a lot of people who watch and talk about hoops that don't currently have a vote that deserve one completely over some of the other guys. There are a couple people in particular who, not just with the All-NBA teams, but they have award votes in general, just for some reason. There was a guy, I don't remember his name, but he put Patrick Beverley as a defensive player of the year years ago, and that just is a waste of a vote. Beverley wasn't going to win, and he clearly wasn't the deserving candidate. Sure, is he a good defender? Yeah, but he wasn't the defensive player of the year. And so you've got situations like that. You have situations years ago where LeBron James could have won a unanimous MVP, but Carmelo Anthony got a vote from someone who just didn't like LeBron and liked Melo better, even though LeBron James was clearly the better player. It wasn't really a subjective thing. He just chose not to. And so why are these people, a lot of which are beat writers for teams that don't have time to go in and watch all these different players? For me, as an example, I'm a college student, so I don't have time to watch all the games, but I love basketball, so I watch a lot. These are people there are beat writers for, say, example, the Boston Celtics, who sees Jason Tatum play a lot, but might not see another player play a lot because he has to write about the Celtics, talk about them, cover them. And so he may miss out on another player as opposed to Jason Tatum. So there are biases there. Why are we having people that don't, not even by any fault of their own, have time to watch all of the games, to truly understand all these impacts, deciding how much, who ends up on which team and how much money people make? That's kind of crazy to me, that because one person who covers a team that I'm not related to could take $30 million away from me because they didn't really have the time to watch me play. Not saying it's their fault necessarily, but because they just have these different time restrictions with their job and everything like that. It's just super weird to me. That's one of my least favorite things in the NBA right now, is that whole situation where guys can make or lose money based on all NBA selections. I don't think that's fair. Especially with a guy like Jason Tatum, who was very much deserving of that contract he could have gotten. I think it would have been 5 years, $205 million or something like that. And Jason Tatum is 100% deserving of that contract. You're seeing it this season with the Celtics, the way that he's playing, the way that he is leading them. He's an MVP candidate in my eyes. He's led them to what has been one of the most impressive midseason turnarounds by any team I've personally ever seen watching basketball. But he's not making as much money as someone else because he just arbitrarily didn't make an All-NBA team. So that's weird to me. So kind of just wrapping it up, I guess, because I know I've been ranting a lot. All-NBA teams really need kind of a switch. It does not make sense to me why you'll have the top two MVP candidates, one on first team, one on second team. Get rid of positions. Just have it be the 15 best players. If you really want to keep that positionality, then do 2 backcourt, 3 frontcourt, or something like that, sure. And also, figure out who can, if you are going to keep positions, make it a lot more flexible, because guys play so many different roles on teams. Ideally, you would just get rid of positions entirely, but some change at least there needs to be made, because it's going to suck if again it happens this year where Embiid and Jokic are two of the top guys for MVP, but they don't make it. Giannis, Embiid, and Jokic should all three be on that first team. But Jokic and Embiid, one of them probably won't make it because I don't think they're going to change that. I don't think they're going to go ahead and give them forward eligibility, which we've kind of seen in the past, weirdly, between different players. I don't remember any names in particular, but people just kind of randomly throw guys out there as positions. DeMar DeRozan made the All-Star game very deservingly as a starter, but there's that whole thing where he doesn't really play guard very much. He's been a small forward and a power forward, but he was voted in as a guard. It doesn't make sense. Why is that a thing? Just because we look at him as more of a typical guard type player, he ends up getting voted in as a guard, so that doesn't really make sense. And then get rid of financial incentives. Why? If anything, players should just make the similar amount of money based on performance or something like that. You should let teams have control over that rather than an all NBA player making $30 more million than the next guy because Jim Jones over there, who's a beat writer for some random team, votes his hometown guy over someone else, and just either costs him a vote or gets that other guy the position. It's just not the way it should work. It doesn't make sense to me. Rant over. That's all I'm going to say about this. Let me know if y'all agree with this at all, if I'm just completely crazy. I don't think it's that controversial of an opinion, but I also don't know how much people actually care about this. So let me know in the comment section below. Yeah, I appreciate y'all watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'll see y'all later.